5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, welcome to this Freaky Friday edition of Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tobacco, and man, do we have a whopper of a show today. I usually say whopper on Women Wednesday, but it's Friday. I am fired up like you cannot believe. I love it when I talk to my audience about investments and things that I'm doing personally, and my friends follow my lead, and I'm right. So we're going to talk about this a lot more a little later in the show, but coming into this first hour to kick off this freaky, funny Fan Friday, Overstock.com, as I mentioned earlier, and we'll get into this a little later in segment 3, but Overstock.com, $109. Just last week it was $50, and I've been telling you it's going to 100 for quite some time now. Bitcoin raging still at 11.7. Lots of great things happening there, and the Dow down 100. But, you know, some big names are kind of dragging the Dow down a little bit, but don't get worried about it. Don't get worried about it at all. I think the market's in a good place. And quite frankly, as I've been saying right here on Liquid Lunch for 2 weeks, I said it on Newsmax the other day, I made a direct plea to our president, Donald Trump, to let him know that the liberal, progressive left does not want to do a stimulus bill unless it includes all this mail-in voting and all this other stuff. And we have small businesses dying. There's 30 million small businesses in this country. Okay, 1.7 million of them got PPP loans. The other 28 million companies are dying. The ones that actually got the PPP loans, they got basically 2 months worth of salaries and expenses. That's already been ripped through. So small businesses are dying. Small businesses account for 65% of the workforce in America. And I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it until the president does it. And I think he's going to do it. We're going to talk to Stephen Moore right after this. Stephen Moore and Larry Kudlow were a big part of Donald Trump's economic team during the 2016 election. They guided most of this policy here. Stephen Moore and I haven't been in agreement all along on payroll tax. But he did agree with me kind of the last time he was on. What I believe is going to happen, and I've been telling you this, the president is going to use executive privilege to go out and say we have a financial emergency going on, and he doesn't need Congress, he doesn't need anyone. He is going to, or at least he should, and we'll talk to Stephen Moore right after this on this topic, he is going to use executive privilege to order a payroll tax holiday. And if he really wants to rocket the market and guarantee a victory in November, he gives every small business a rebate of 3 months, their last quarter of payroll tax deposits. He puts it back in their account and gives them till the end of the year for no payroll tax. Gives a 7.5% increase in every single person working gets another 7.5% in their pocket, and every single employer gets another 7.5% in their bank account. And all these naysayers out there who say, well, these payroll tax cuts, they only help businesses and rich owners, but the businesses get more money in their pocket from the payroll tax because they don't have to put up their share of the 7.5%. They got more money in their pocket. Markets are going up. More people are manufacturing in America. They're going to start hiring people back. So the working men and women in this country get a raise like that, okay? And the non-working people who got hit with this COVID, there's going to be a lot more opportunity because small businesses are going to be stimulated in a way they've never been stimulated before. And this market could very easily be over 30,000 if he says a payroll tax cut is coming your way. So don't be shocked. Zen Sam's coming up a little later on. We're going to be talking about Cyrus Vance and now his continued political persecution of Donald Trump. Talked about that a little this morning on Newsmax. You got to check out Newsmax American Agenda. Barry Goldsmith's going to be here. He's going to make you crack up like we do every Friday. Michael John's in hour 2. My buddy, the good doctor, John Huber, is going to be here. He's a psychologist and chairman of Mainstream Mental Health. And we're going to be talking about coping with the coronavirus fears. Fun Friday coming at you. Stephen Moore, right after this. With the coronavirus fears. Did you put a post on YouTube, on Facebook, that were on YouTube?
Yes, yes.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You didn't.
Yes, I did. I did. Okay, coming back. $15, $14, $13, $12, $11, $10, $9, $8, $7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back, folks. Just breezing through this first hour, we're kicking it real today. Market's down a little bit, down 100. Bitcoin down a smidge, but Bitcoin's still at 11.7. We do have a US dollar right now that's at its lowest and weakest point in many, many years, off like 8.8%. And the more the government continues to print all of this invisible digital money, we're just growing the supply out there, and that's what's causing a weakness in the dollar. Many people are using Bitcoin as kind of an alternative flight to safety, and I think that's why Bitcoin's got a nice pop here. And if you're keeping your eye on Overstock.com like I am, as I told you, I'm a large shareholder in Overstock.com. I bought some calls last week at 80 bucks, and Overstock.com coming into this hour, $110 today. Wayfair's at 300, makes me think Overstock's worth at least 150. And I've been ranting and raving for months now about a payroll tax holiday to stimulate small businesses and stimulate people in America who will automatically get a raise. I brought this up to Stephen Moore a few months ago. He wasn't fully on board with it, but he said it was worth a thought. And, now we're seeing full-throated proclamations from our president that he may just use executive privilege to do some kind of payroll tax holiday, which I think will be hugely stimulative. And we'll get Stephen Moore's thoughts right now as he joins us today. Well, he's not with us yet, but he'll be with us momentarily. Stephen Moore, if you remember, he's probably, one of the most esteemed economists in our country. He was one of Trump's economic advisors. Him and I'm sorry? Oh, yeah? Yeah. He's not, he's going to be. Okay. All right. You know what? Stephen Moore, we're dialing him in. Okay, so stay right there. Don't go anywhere. He's going to be joining us momentarily. But I don't want to just wave my hands around and say, I told you this, I told you this, I told you that. And by the way, I'm celebrating today because it's quite the day for me and hopefully for all of you. My favorite thing to drink is Jack Daniels. If you never tried the Honey Jack, you're missing out. And I'm going to slug down this Honey Jack and celebrate the beautiful performance of one of my recent calls, Overstock.com. Check it out, what I said on this show just last week, talking about Overstock. Of this week about Overstock.com. Almost no possibility, if you know anything about markets, there's almost no possibility of Wayfair ever making money. So if that stock's $200, I think it's safe to say Overstock, with the fundamentals, the growth, and the tremendous innovation in their crypto division, I think the stock could easily be 100, and that's what I'm betting on. You figure out if that's for you, but take a closer look at it. If you're thinking about buying Wayfair or Etsy or whatever, look at Overstock stock, and you'll see that as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't know anything, but I know a good company when I see one, and if I didn't, I'd be shorting it, which I'm not. So it's rare I turn it around myself personally and talk about things that I think are going higher. That's like a rarity for me. I don't do that. in the last 15 years, I think I talked about one thing that I wanted to go along, and that was the macro market. When Trump got elected, before the inauguration, I was on Fox News with Neil Cavuto, and he said, what do you think? What do you like? And I said, you know, if Trump repatriates the money and he lowers the taxes, and he starts cutting regulation, I think this market will be at 25,000. And he was like, whoa. He was like, I've never heard you say something is going up. You always say it's going down, and now why this? And I said, well, here you go. 12 months to the day, Dow was at 25. Cavuto called me up, his producers, hey, you got to come back down here. You were right on the money. What do you think? I said, look, I think it's going to 30. And we were right on our way to 30. So I rarely talk about individual stocks going up, okay? So at 53 bucks on Monday, I said I think Overstock's going to 100. And just to, bring you up to speed coming into today, Overstock is at $74, up 23.21, up 40% on the week, and down a little bit today because it's tired. It's been running all week long. These things gotta take a breath every so often. But Wayfair's 200. Absolutely comfortable saying Overstock is. I got a different shirt on, as you can see, and I'm representing today for the things that mean the most to all of us. USA, okay, and NYPD. That means a lot to me because, and that's just not for the NYPD. My father was a cop, okay? But I love our country and I love our police. And that's what our country's all about, if you ask me. It's also about capitalism and making money, okay? I don't encourage you to take financial advice from me, okay? I often tell you what I'm doing, me personally, and to me, there's no bigger way to tell you how I feel about something than tell you what I did. And a lot of people are very secret about their trading. They're secretive. They don't want to tell everybody what they're doing, they steal their ideas and everything. Part of my job is to build a community of people that I love and give them things that I'm doing. If I'm wrong, I take the whacks. I take whacks every day on this show. But when I'm right, I want to highlight it to you. So maybe next time you say, all right, why is John doing that? Well, he told me he did that, and so lots going on. I mentioned a little earlier in the week that I picked up some Overstock 80 calls, and those 80 calls had an expiration of today. Yesterday, banged them out at 95, and then took a bunch of half the profits there and rolled them into next week 95s. So 95 expiration next week. And, if you know anything about trading and you don't understand what I'm talking about, shoot me an email if you want. But I bought some 95s that expire next Friday yesterday, and the stock is at 110. Got as high as 112 on the day today. But there is a monster short squeeze going on. I've been telling you this. I was part of the team at Overstock.com that developed the digital dividend that Overstock issued way back in December, January. I think it went effective in February. Got approved by shareholders in January, February. And this digital dividend caused a major headache for short sellers. And if you look at the stock, okay, you look at when they issued this dividend, okay, and it's a digital dividend, so you can't borrow it. You can't get short it, okay? The dividend itself is causing so much heartache and heartburn for the short sellers because they can't get the shares because they're digital. But if they borrow the shares to be short, they have to post the capital for all the dividend shares that they're responsible for. So it's causing a monster short squeeze. I can tell you this. There are some short sellers right now that Overstock is putting out of business. And trust me when I tell you this. Me and my buddy Patrick Byrne, Jonathan Johnson, the new CEO, many of my friends over there at Overstock, we fought like a 10-year war against the government, against the establishment, and against the biggest prime brokers in the country to prove that manipulative short selling was really, really hurting the markets, okay? And Overstock won. They settled almost every one of those cases. But it was swept under the rug. The fines and the penalties that they paid, there were rounding errors for the big firms. But a bunch of short sellers have kept that in their craw for so long, and they're always trying to lay on Overstock. And I can tell you this, good riddance to you. And you know who I'm talking about, okay? The Sam Antars and the Gary Weisses and the haters, the manipulators, the fomenters, the fake newsers. Your nuts are in a vice right now, and if you're not dead yet, you're going to be soon, because the stock is going to just keep going higher. The fundamentals are now matching up, and they're caught so bad. It's called a short squeeze. If you want more information, you want to learn about short squeezes, it's what I've been studying for years and years, and I try to find them. It just happened to pop up right in my backyard in Overstock.com. So there's a massive short squeeze going on. I'm going to reset my goals on Overstock to 150. So the stock today is 110 as we speak. It was 50 last week. And I'm telling you, if you want to take a look at, I'm taking a look right now at some September 125 calls, which would get me out into another month. And the stock could be 150 bucks in a few days. And I'm telling you, I'm in it to win it. The 95 calls that I bought yesterday are flying as well. So we're going to try to connect with Stephen Moore. We got Zen Sam's coming up a little later. We're going to take a quick break right here, but do not go anywhere. Unbelievable show coming back at you in just a few minutes. Okay, good. Is Stephen Moore in?
Hey, Stephen, how are you?
I do not hear him. Is he talking?
Stephen, I can't hear you. Can you hear us? All you have to do is connect to audio if you click the microphone on the bottom left.
All right. The gang's all here. They're starting to show up, which is good news. All our friends are out there. Miles on, Rita's on. Hey, if you're out there watching on YouTube, drop us in a comment. We're on commercial right now, but we're coming back with Stephen Moore.
Hey, Stephen, I just need to get your audio working. On the bottom left of your screen, you should see a little microphone. Okay. Do you see the little arrow next to the microphone on the bottom left? Can you click that? And is there anything like join with computer audio? Where it says select the microphone, what do you see there? And is microphone array selected? Okay. For some reason you're not showing the audio. If you could X out and then click the Zoom link again and try to click join with computer audio this time. Try to click join with computer audio if you get prompted to do so.
This is the Skype going to the board.
Okay. Do you see anything for audio there?
The bottom left, there should be the little mic with the bar through it.
He's got the right mic selected.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I don't hear him in my ear.
No, I don't hear you yet.
Do you have the?
Still don't hear me?
No.
Are we hearing him here?
No.
No.
I have the microphone.
Yeah, when
You're
he's
able to hear us
no,
through
no,
the
no,
mic, right?
No, but we get. Oh, that's
We're
coming.
coming back
That's
in
him.
40 seconds. We're gonna have to figure this out.
He's not coming in.
I know.
We're not even getting anything because there would be.
He joined the computer audio. It's the
I
right
know,
thing.
I know, but I'm saying that.
We're back in less than 30 seconds.
Let's just see if there's levels here. You know what I'm saying?
John, we're about to be on here. Okay. Steven, I'll try to mitigate it with you through this segment here. Stay on the phone with
Ouch.
me.
Okay. You want to do it by phone?
We might have to, but I'm coming back to bump in 5, 4. I'll talk to you in a minute. 3.
Leave him on.
2,
You could leave him on
1.
speaker and put it on. Put your phone. All right, welcome back. Just buzzing through the first hour here. We did connect with Stephen Moore, and as I mentioned a little earlier in the show, the Dow's down a bit today, waiting to hear about this stimulus bill. A few months back, we had Mr. Moore on, and when Stephen Moore comes on, it's a great day for you and all of us because he was one of Donald Trump's chief economic advisors through the campaign. He's one of the most respected economists in the world, if you ask me. And I did suggest to him going back about 4 months ago, maybe a payroll tax holiday. He didn't love the idea back then, but he said it's worth the thought. And it seems like now the president is thinking about doing it through executive privilege. And to get his thoughts on it, the man himself joins us right now. Stephen Moore is with us. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Hi, John. Can you hear me?
We hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, good.
So, you know, a few months ago, I was joking around and I asked you, you know, about doing the payroll tax holiday to stimulate all the small businesses. And I know you didn't love the idea of a free giveaway like that. But it seems like the president has got warmer and now he's burning hot on it, it seems like. The naysayers are out there saying that this just helps rich people and rich business owners. It's really a two-way stimulus for both business owners and people who have jobs right now to get like a 7.5% increase in their pocket every week, every 2 weeks.
You are 100% correct. This is probably, given where we are with this economy right now, by the way, we got a really good jobs number today, so the economy is, that V-shaped recovery is continuing. So my feeling is that we could get this payroll tax done. And by the way, the president may sign an executive order today or tomorrow doing this without, with executive authority, without having to go through Congress. And that's something that I've recommended to the president. And I think it looks very positive that he's going to do this. That would mean that starting next week, every American who works would get a 7.5% pay raise in their paycheck.
Right, and you know, quite frankly, I was on America's Agenda on Newsmax the other day, and I made a plea to the president to do it. And one of the things, you know, when they're talking about the PPP and stuff, one of the things that I thought he could do without Congress was instruct Steve Mnuchin to just stop collecting payroll tax, and he has every right to do that in his emergency authority. At the same time, the people who got PPP got 2 months worth of money, and that's all gone right now. What about maybe giving people, like, you know, their last quarter as a rebate, right, direct deposit, instead of doing the whole PPP dance again?
Well, look, I don't want to see a huge, massive increase in government spending right now. We've already spent $2 trillion on this. And as you know, Nancy Pelosi wants another $3 trillion of spending, and it's basically her list of things is all just giving money to her campaign contributors. How shocking is that? But look, I think at this point we don't need massive new government spending. We don't need the businesses don't need government help. They just need to get the businesses open. They need to let workers get back to work. I think this idea of giving people $600 a week bonus unemployment benefits has hurt the economy. It's hard for businesses to get their workers back.
Yeah, so break this down for people, because I do it in layman form, but, you know, the big argument from the left is, you know, this is a tax cut for business owners. If business owners don't have to make their 7.5% contribution, then they have more money in the bank to go hire people, right?
Of course, I mean that's so obvious. I mean, it's liberals don't seem to understand what you just said. But
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, John, the reason they don't understand what you just said is liberals have never run a business, so they have no idea what it means to have revenues and expenses, because a lot of them live off government, or they live off unemployment, or they live in universities where they don't have to worry about these things. But of course, if you give workers 7.5% pay increase, you incentivize them to work more. And if you give employers a 7.5% reduction in their payroll costs, they have an incentive to hire more workers. I mean, that's as plain as the nose on your face, and yet liberals don't seem to understand it. They think it's better for the economy to pay people not to work with unemployment benefits. What we want to do is pay people to work.
Yeah, I mean, I always throw out this axiom, my father and mother always used to say, you respect things more when you work hard for them and earn them. And you don't, when you get a gift, you leave your bicycle outside because you didn't pay for it. You don't care about it. But when you pay for it, you put it in the garage and you shine it up.
Yeah, the old saying is anything easily attained is lightly regarded. And so, the worst thing you can do is just give people money. Now, look, I'm not saying that this is a tough time for every American, and my income's down a lot this year. I'm sure yours is. A lot of people have lost their jobs. We're not saying we should throw people out on the street. We're just saying, use the normal unemployment benefit system to provide assistance to people who've lost their job. But it is crazy, and it's economic lunacy to be paying workers. And by the way, 5 out of 6 unemployed workers are now getting paid more money not to work than to return to the job. So, of course, they're not going to return to the job. And so a lot of small businesses are saying, as they start to rebuild their businesses, they can't get the workers back.
No, I see it. In our last minute here, I was on Governor David Patterson's New York pension task force in 2010, 2011, and we were looking at these horrible actuary tables they had. Now, one of the things that the Pelosiites want to do is throw in all this money to bail out these failing pension plans across the country. I think the pension Ponzi that these states have been using is the biggest bubble next facing our country.
I couldn't agree more. You're exactly right. And you were there in New York. I grew up in the state of Illinois. I think Illinois' pension problems are even worse than California and New York. And, they have, tens and tens of billions of dollars of pension benefits that they can never pay back. And you know how they think that they're going to pay them back? Is that Uncle Sam is going to write them a $50 billion check. And that's not fair to people in Tennessee and Texas and Florida to have to pay federal taxes to bail out the Illinois pension system.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a pervasive problem in almost all the pension plans where, they put these IOUs in there. And what most people don't realize is if a slightly larger percent of people ask to retire outlying their actuary table, they can literally corrupt the whole pension plan because the money's just not there.
Yeah, what I favor, and I think a lot of states have moved towards defined contribution plans, so that doesn't put, so you put the money in like a 401k plan, and that works well for the workers because they get compounded interest on those benefits, but also it doesn't require massive unfunded liabilities that are put on the back of taxpayers. That's what every state, including New York and Illinois and California, should do. Move to a defined contribution plan so that people can build up their own nest eggs and that you don't put massive burdens on the backs of taxpayers.
Yeah, and for those of you watching at home, when you talk about defined contribution versus defined benefit, there's plans like here in New York where the teachers union actually gets on their deferred annuity, they actually get a 12% guaranteed return, and we have years where the markets lose. So they're literally bankrupting themselves year by year by year.
Yeah, I'd love to get 12% on every one of my retirement accounts.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
It's guaranteed.
Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. I love seeing you in casual mode on Friday, and have a drink for us this weekend. Thank you so much for always giving you some time. Thanks, Stephen Moore. Hey, that's one of the top economists in the whole country, and he said it right here. He thinks the president is gonna come in, and do some executive action to give all you small business owners out there watching this show some relief. So sit back and relax. This is going to be a good weekend for you. We'll take a quick break, come back with Zen Sams and talk about pedophiles and Cyrus Vance.
Hey, Barry.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Barry. How do I share this to Facebook? That's the question. Nico, did you send me that link? The link to the Newsmax interview this morning.
No.
I asked you to send me that. You said you sent it.
You mean the one we pulled from Wild Mocha? Yeah. I'm sending it to you now. It's a WeTransfer file, though, 'cause it's too big, so you'd have to download it from a computer.
Oh, you can't, it's not on a link.
Right.
Let's see if Matt Conklin put anything out yet. It was a good appearance. I'm hoping that he grabbed something, you know?
Hey, Zen, can you hear us? Hear you. Just give me 1 second.
Something from that, when I moved the computer, we didn't plug something back in. You know what I mean? The audio line.
It's gotta be. This is a problem.
All right, well, we'll figure it out, Nico. It's, you know, it worked fine just right there. Huh?
I don't know what to do.
You know, bro, you can't, your job can't be.
Back in a minute and a half.
Alrighty, hello everyone. Did another hit on Newsmax today. I guess they liked my content from Wednesday. They invited me back on Friday. Big thanks to my pal over there, Jill Flipper Vitale, who suggested to the producers of the
We're back in 30 seconds.
great show American
We're back in 30
Agenda.
seconds. I'm having a little audio issues here, but I'll go through it. Just
There's no audio issues. What audio
go through
issues?
like I can't hear you right this second. I need you to call me on my cell phone, okay? All right, we're back in. I can't keep track of the time. Hey Zen, we're doing the audio through my phone.
All right, what time does this segment end?
Okay. Well, it starts in 50. Just talk as normal, okay?
What time does this segment end?
12.
No, just
Yeah, leave the phone on speaker. Yes. All right.
Hey, all right, welcome back. Just buzzing through the first hour here. We're chopping wood big time. I am celebrating a banner day for myself and those of you who joined me in tradingoverstock.com as we come into this segment right here. Overstock on a rager at 110, Dow down 100, Bitcoin down a smidge, but still at 11.7. Great things are happening. And while she joined us on Wednesday for a whole 2 hours, today we only have her for 10 minutes, but she's with us again. The one, the only Zen Sams, model, actress, super mom. And Zen, there's a lot going on, but you have uncovered this Hasbro situation where apparently these dolls may be perceived as inappropriate for kids. What's happening with this?
Yeah, well, for those of you who are not familiar, toy maker Hasbro is the maker of Transformers, G.I. Joe, Monopoly, and owner of the beloved children's toys and games. They're finally pulling the Trolls dolls due to a censor placement that may have been perceived as inappropriate. So that basically the doll was pulled over complaints that it promotes child abuse. And now they're pulling the Poppy doll from shelves after Change.org petitioned an alleged petition that the placement of one of its features could have long-term effects on a child's mental and physical health. Now, in the petition, Supermom Jessica McManus wrote that the DreamWorks Troll World Tool Giggle and Sing Poppy doll, which gasps and giggles upon activation of a sensor between basically the toy's legs underneath the skirt, as shown in the video. Nico, do we have a video?
Yes, we do. 1 second.
All right. We have a video. We may have a video.
Well, I was showing her to my husband, and I heard some other sounds that I had never heard before. And if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way. So I just touched her tummy, and she's going to sing for a minute. But down here is a button right here on her privates. And if you push those, she makes these sounds. Boop. Oh. Like a gasping sound.
Okay, so basically what happened was that this video, a mom, Jessica McManus, tweeted that this needs to be removed from our stores because basically society is conditioning our children to think that pedophilia is okay. And what will this toy make our innocent children think? That it's fun when someone touches your private area, that pedophilia and child molestation are okay? And Hasbro basically or giggle and sing, and that they're going to be offering customers a replacement doll of the female character, and the doll has been designed to really, giggle when placed in a sitting position, but some parents complain that the sound activation button is inappropriately placed, and I, as a mom, seeing that now, having looked at it a little bit deeper, I hadn't really realized this, was under the doll's skirt and under her legs. It is a little bit alarming. Hasbro is a huge company. This cannot, the makers of Hasbro, these people are in charge of making the best toys in the world. And this went under the radar when you have a world of disgusting people like the Epsteins of the world who are trafficking young girls. And then our toy makers, this is what's happening. So as a mom, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy that. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't realize that this was where it was placed. So good for you, Jessica McManus, for calling them out, starting the petition, and now it's been a thing, and they're recalling the toy, and we're putting light on a very sensitive issue.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Now, you mentioned Epstein there, and I know me and you have been covering the Cyrus Vance corrupted office of DA here in New York. Just, they're trying to get Donald Trump's records from 10 years ago. We've gone over many things like Diana Florence. She resigned from the office and said that she doesn't believe that office is committed to justice for all. There's two tiers of people, the rich, wealthy donors like Epstein and Weinstein and Dr. Haddon, who even Andrew Yang's wife alleged this doctor from Columbia University had raped and sexual assaulted her and 19 other women. And those big donors, he doesn't go after them. But people like Donald Trump, he spends money and time, and he has this construction rackets bureau that brings cases against people they know they can't win. All they do is waste money in this office and bring what appears to me are, they're settling scores and grudges more than they're actually trying to find justice for all.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump, we were just talking about it on Wednesday's segment on Women Wednesday. They are, she has the affinity that she has is human trafficking. So it's hard for me to believe that as a father and as a husband and as the president of the United States of America, that he would turn a blind eye to this. Unlike, and let me remind you, a moment of Zen, since Cy Vance Jr. wants to go back a decade and snoop around into President Trump's personal tax returns and corporate. I'm going to go and snoop into Cyrus Vance Jr. Now, Epstein plea deal, let's remind everybody, Jeffrey Epstein, human trafficker, child molester, whether he took his own life or not, I don't believe it, but go with God, karmically he was paid back. And the Epstein plea deal now casts light on Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance's role. And as a mom, it is my job and it is my duty to make sure that the people that hear me speak, whether it's on Wednesday or Friday, are fully informed accurately of what is going on. Now, this district attorney of ours, Cyrus Vance Jr., who wants to take human trafficking off the street and wants to take the bad guys and put them behind bars, no, not so much. Guess what? Cyrus Vance Jr. was among a growing group of federal prosecutors nationwide who came under scrutiny in the wake of the charges of the conspiracy and sex trafficking against Jeffrey Epstein. And when Epstein was required to register as a sex offender in Miami in 2008 as part of a non-prosecution plea deal that resulted in an 18-month sentence, which, by the way, he served just 13 months for solicitation of a prostitution involving one underage victim. Just 3 years after that plea, a sex crime prosecutor assistant named DA Jennifer Gaffney, under Cyrus Vance Jr., pleaded with a federal judge to allow Epstein to downgrade his registered sex offender status from level 3 to the lowest possible classification, level 1, despite an assessment by a Florida board. Now, as a mom, this is disgusting.
Yeah, hey, Zen, listen to this. I was on American Agenda on Newsmax this morning, and we were talking about Cyrus Vance and this stuff. And, when you were on a little while back, you were talking about how Diana Florence and the Construction Rackets Bureau were bragging about how they brought in $4 million in forfeitures. It's come to my attention that those cases were overturned, and now the office has to pay out like $8 or $9 million. So the one thing that they were hanging their hat on, they actually owe money out. So they spend millions of dollars going after contractors. I personally think that they unfairly target Italians in the construction business, and they just assume everybody has to be mobbed up because they have a vowel at the end of their name. But this whole Construction Rackets Bureau supposedly brought in all this money. Now they owe it back on top of everything else.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's corruption after corruption, whether it's the construction case, whether it's even this pedophilia case. I mean, Vance's argument was so duplicitous that it even shook Justice Ruth Pickles, who ruled against the assertion at the time and about the sex offender from 1 to 3, and we're going back on that. And all of this stuff infuriates me as a mom. She said, I have to tell you, I'm a little overwhelmed because I've never seen a prosecutor's office do anything like this. And Vance's office later backpedaled on its stance, which was in favor of Epstein, and filed a change of heart brief agreeing that he should be registered as a level 3 sex offender, citing that there was a misunderstanding. It was a combination of mistaken interpretation of the governing legal standards of a certain secondhand information about the Florida case. But it was all BS. And so, again, why did the DA's office ignore a confidential state assessment that deemed Epstein to be highly dangerous, which lawyers from Mr. Epstein approached the office to have this offender status reduced, and Cy Vance Jr. did that.
Yeah,
But the
why?
bottom
Well,
line-
you don't. You're
the
asking
bottom
why.
line-
When you ask why, it's not a hard question because Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of dough, and he probably got a bunch of his associates to funnel a lot of campaign contributions into the corruption of Cyrus Vance. So he sticks up for people who pad his pockets and goes after people who are working hard and trying to make a living. So it's getting scarier by the minute. And now you start to think, you know, why would he actually sit there and defend a pedophile? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
This is the man in charge of my safety.
Yep.
And the bottom line is that Cy Vance Jr. doles out favors for reciprocity.
No doubt.
And I'm going to remind you,
All right.
in my moment of zen, that Vance refused to prosecute Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein after Amber Gutierrez wore the wiretap and caught Harvey Weinstein on tape. Vance
All right.
turned a blind
Then
eye.
we got to run. Thank you so much. You are the bomb. We'll see you next week. We'll see you guys in just 1 minute. Right after this, Barry Goldstein's going to crack you up.
5, 4, 3, 2.
You know, where
Danino's, the arugula pie, white arugula pie with fresh grated Parmesan. This is the margarita pie, beauty. This is the clam pie. Danino's is famous for the clam pie. Delicious. It's like after place. So
10, 9, 8,
Okay, I'm reloaded. Say hello to my little friend.
It's not like we're on air or anything. No big deal.
Can you turn on the mic, please?
I don't know how to pull up the segment, pull up assets. Hey Barry, I cannot hear you yet. Give me a
Hello,
second. We're having some
everybody.
audio issues, okay?
All right.
Barry, if I can't get this fixed, call me on my cell in 2 minutes. Okay, Barry, you need to count to 5? Barry, count again for me. Yeah, I don't know. Hey Jess, I'm trying to do a live show. Can't do this right now. It's in. Okay, thank you. And we have audio issues to the point where we're not hearing anything. I guess I don't know why at all. I don't know if that has anything to do with the speakers or. No, it did. did it hit this morning?
I don't know what's happening.
I hear him.
Can
Whatever
you
you
hear
just
me?
did.
Can you hear me?
Barry, give me a count to 5 quickly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, we're good. We're back in a minute.
What was
Okay.
wrong?
The volume was all the way down.
Okay.
So we never tried the volume.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
For some reason, it just
That old trick.
Okay. I have a question. Why don't when I need a visual, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, why don't I say, I want to show you something, or, it'll make it easier for you and Nico. What do you think?
I don't know what you mean. You want to hold it up?
You know what?
all right, we're back
That
in-
may not be a bad
we're back in
idea.
30 seconds.
Okay.
You know what?
I don't know why I have
don't
trouble
even
with the
have
sound.
his visuals.
I am of sound
I
mind.
fucked up, John. I couldn't get them in this morning. Hey, Barry?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had some technical issues, and I wasn't able to get your assets in this morning. So we're going without the visuals today.
Well, he can hold them up. He can hold
if
them
you can
up.
hold them up, that would be great.
Oh, but he don't have them printed probably.
I don't have the printed. You know what, John? We can talk about the other questions, and we can also talk.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Go.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. Lots going on out there in our country. Lots going on around the world. We got bombings in Beirut. We got Pedophile Island. We got all this crazy stuff going on. Economy, stimulus, liberals, progressives, riots, COVIDs, all this other crap. And sometimes you just throw your hands up. And on Fridays, I try to lighten the load on you a little bit by making some funnies. And I'm joined every Friday by my good friend Barry Goldsmith, who joins us right now. He's a professor. He's an architectural historian. He's an award-winning comedy writer and the host of the Been There, Haven't Done That podcast and radio show. And the radio show can be heard Sunday nights on WOR in New York City and New Jersey. It's Funny Friday, Barry, so you better be funny. How are you, pal?
How are you? Yeah, I'm fine. Or I should say, yo, John. My students used to say, yo, prof. Now, they could call me anything. They can call me bad professor, whatever. But I drew the line with yo, prof. I told them, guys, I am dyslexic. So when you say yo, prof, I automatically think, oi.
Oi! So you hear the word yo backwards as oi.
Thank you.
Ba-boom.
I also wrote, people know I wrote for Joan Rivers, but, I also wrote for comedy for Maury Povich, and that is not a joke. That is not a joke. No, it was more than 10 years ago, and every week, speaking of writing through a pandemic and writing through riots and all of that in bad times like this, I was in charge of writing, ready for this? I don't know if you remember him, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Of course, he used to eat humans.
Yeah, I had to do Jeffrey Dahmer jokes, okay? What is Jeffrey Dahmer having for supper tonight?
Oh.
Shepherd's pie with real shepherds.
Ugh.
What? Thank you. What is Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite dessert?
What is Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite dessert?
Ben and Jerry with real Ben and Jerry.
Ow! Oh, that wouldn't be a bad one.
Thank you. And when he's tired at night, when he takes a shower, you'll get this. What shampoo does he use?
I don't know. What shampoo does he use?
Head and Shoulders. With real Head and Shoulders. Thank you. So if you can write comedy about a serial killer, without losing your appetite, a cannibal, without losing your appetite, you can write about anything. My first Maury Povich joke. I
Yeah,
mean,
what kind of cereal? What kind of cereal does a serial killer eat?
Well, let's put it this way. He doesn't usually. He eats haute cuisine, not haute cuisine, French with sauces, just plain haute cuisine.
Ouch! Come on, Barry.
My first joke with for Maury Povich was about a tragedy. Okay, it was about solidified airline food came through a ceiling and nearly killed a woman on the ground. We don't. It was actually it was from the toilet. It was, excuse me. It was poop from a toilet that actually nearly killed a woman on the ground. It was that bad, and of course I had to write jokes about tragedy. And I said to Maury, it could have been worse. It could have been airline food. Okay.
Baboom.
And my best compliment, this is more than 10 years ago, Maury said, hey, kid, great jokes. And I said, thanks, Maury, for the compliment. Not so much the jokes, but calling me a kid. I haven't been called a kid in 20 years. So anyway, these times now are, I've written humor during bad times or during bad things. So are you sure you still want to have me on every Friday?
I don't know. We're going to take that up with the team in post today. But nah, you're with us for good, pal. Look, you know what? You know the deal with this. Let's get through the shtick for a minute because you're a great friend of the show and you're always there for me and everything else. But the truth of the matter is, and you know this, I know this, sometimes the joke works. And if you're a talented humorist, even when the joke doesn't work, people may laugh at your reaction to the joke not working, and it's kind of like self-deprecating, and you're the best at that.
Well, thank you. By the way, I've been hearing a lot of things about, God forbid, Donald Trump doesn't win the election. Do you know what? There are lots of things he can do. TikTok is running out of time. If Trump's time as a presidency also runs out, here's what he can do. Did you ever hear of Stanley Kaplan refresher courses?
Yep.
Courses for the SATs, the College Board, the law boards. Well, I think that they can hire Donald Trump to prep everybody, like older people, on the cognitive test. Can you imagine? He'd be coaching cognitive tests. I think that's just made for him.
He did so good on the cognitive test.
Yes,
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw hiding Joe Biden, but he was asked the other day on a CBS broadcast, a softball question. Hey, presidential candidate Biden, would you be willing to take the same cognitive test that Donald Trump did? Because they're all making fun and saying that the test isn't hard and if you can tell the difference between a fox and an elephant. And Joe Biden went on a rampage and asked the guy, well, what would I know? Why would I take the test? And then he starts ripping the guy apart, say, hey, when you went for this job, did they give you a test for cocaine? What are you, some kind of junkie? So he attacked the guy for asking him about a simple test. It was crazy.
Oh, well, I got news for you. That was the second time he answered the question. The first time when that reporter asked him, would you take a cognitive test? You know what Biden said? What's a cognitive test?
All right, you know what? Even though sometimes comedians have more jokes, when you hit the good one right near the end, you go out on a high note, and I'm going to let you go on a high note because that was a good one. And you're a good one. You're a good friend. You're a great man. And to all you out there, Barry writes me jokes every day. Okay, I try to put them into my own slang and stuff, but I use them all the time. So that's him being funny. And on Fridays, we just like to break it up and get him on. And aside from being a professor and an expert in architecture, he's a great friend, and we love him dearly. Barry, have a great weekend, my friend.
Got a great show, John. Take care.
We'll see you next week. We'll see you in just a minute. Do not go anywhere. Lots to talk about in hour two, and we're coming back with that right after this. Showbiz TV. Now, I did have a couple of appearances this week on Newsmax TV, and if you don't know, now you know. Newsmax TV is the fastest growing cable network in America. Chris Ruddy and the whole team over there are killing it, and President Trump is watching Newsmax all the time. I checked in with my friends over at American Agenda this morning, and we talked a little about Letitia James, New York State Attorney General, trying to disband the NRA craziness, okay? And we also talked a little bit about Cy Vance, and you got to check this out. Here's my hit from this morning on Newsmax's American Agenda. Check it out.
Your thoughts on Cyrus Vance and Deutsche Bank releasing records, Trump's numbers, his financial records to Cyrus Vance. What's Cyrus's overall goal here? What are your thoughts on him?
Well, Cyrus Vance is the most corrupt district attorney in the country. His office is fraught with abuse, corruption. There's a two-tiered system in his office. You know, look at Jeffrey Epstein. He refused to prosecute him for years. Harvey Weinstein refused to prosecute him for years. Just in January this year, 2020, former presidential candidate Andrew Yang's wife and 19 other women alleged that a Columbia professor had sexually abused and raped them. Cyrus Vance refused to bring charges. The guy turned out to be a big donor of his. So it seems like in Cyrus Vance's office, if you're a big donor, no charges brought against you. If there's a political persecution that gets you some grandstanding and publicity, then he'll bring charges, even though he knows that the case can't be won. And I just want to read you this, guys. A former ADA in his office, who was part of the team on their Construction and Rackets Bureau, which is another corrupt organization, she resigned recently. And in her resignation letter, here's what she said about Cyrus Vance. She said, this is Diana Florence, former ADA in Cyrus Vance's office. I am no longer convinced the Manhattan DA office values obtaining justice for all. That's one of his ADAs who just resigned. She's basically saying it's not justice for all here. It's justice for whoever doesn't donate money to Cyrus Vance. And we're seeing it time and time again. Maybe Donald Trump should make a nice donation to Cyrus Vance's office and the Deutsche Bank thing will go away.
Great point. Before I go, you know, I watch your show. I got to tell you, I watch your show all the time, you know, and I always know you've got some liquor around because it's called Liquid Lunch. You got any cocktails? Oh, there it is. Is that Macallan?
We're always ready here.
Macallan
always ready to shake one up also, buddy.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, I think they say. And also, it is Friday. That is John Tobacco.
What could I say? You know what I mean? We hit it out of the park. And truthfully, we do have a major problem here in New York when the district attorney has looting, rioting, police are getting abused and assaulted. St. Patrick's Cathedral, it actually got spray painted and vandalized, and he doesn't charge people. But he's spending millions of dollars every single day to do surveillance on people for 6, 9, a year, and bringing no cases. He's got people that are bringing cases in his office when they know they can't win, but they're bringing the case to rattle people and try to get them to rat on someone else. And when you have that type of corruption going on, you got to really think twice about whether his intentions are good when he's going back 10 years to ask Deutsche Bank for Donald Trump's financial records. This guy's a political hack. He's always been, and he's got 2 tiers of justice here in New York. The rich donors get favorable treatment, and the people that are his enemies and he wants to settle scores with, they get cases brought against them. Get yourself a case of something, some White Claws. I drank some Trulies yesterday. Get a cold one, crack it open, pop it, stay right there. We're going to come back and get serious for a little bit with my good friend Michael Johns, co-founder of the Tea Party movement, and we are going to get into it on the street riots and Trump's biggest accomplishments. So stay right there for Michael Johns and me right after this.
Hey, Michael, can you hear me? hang with me 1 second. Quick turnaround, John. Coming back very shortly.
I can't hear Michael,
I can't
just so
hear
you
you
know.
either.
It's not us now.
It's not us,
No, he's got to turn his mic on. He's got to turn.
Hey, Mike, you got to turn your mic on. Hold on, actually, no. Give me
Hey.
count to 5.
Am I back? Yeah, I'm back. Hey.
You hear me?
Yeah, hey, welcome back.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Are we back on, Nico?
No.
Oh, what we got?
In
3 seconds. Okay, good. All right, welcome back. Just kicking off hour 2 here in the leadoff spot. My good friend who joins us every Friday to tell us what's really going on. Policy analyst, former speechwriter for George H.W. Bush, one of the co-founders of the Tea Party movement. Michael Johns is with us. Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it as always. Lots of crazy crap going on there. The pandemic, the riots, and the left-wing media wants to keep the news cycle all about fear, fright, and hysteria. And they don't want people hearing about the good accomplishments of our president. You compiled a little list of things to remind people how great our president has been doing.
Yeah, I think, one of the great political dangers right now is that these two major crises that we're confronting, one, obviously the pandemic, which is rooted in China and which was allowed to escape China, almost certainly with the blessing of the Communist Party of China, and also the street riots have both taken on a kind of anti-Trump dynamic, and he didn't create either of these crises. And I think one of the opportunities and yet political challenges really as we confront the remaining 100 days, less than 100 days now until this election, is to kind of remind ourselves and voters of what an extraordinary 3 years plus of accomplishments the president had up until these two issues started. And of course, you kind of start with the major tax reform package, the biggest tax reform really in 30 years that this country's had, which benefited the vast majority of middle-income workers in this country, 82% of whom experienced tax relief. And of course, importantly, the cut in the corporate rate, because we were under Obama operating at a 35% corporate tax rate, the highest in the industrialized world. And this president, to his great credit, brought it down to 21%, which makes it competitive with other industrialized countries. That, combined with major deregulatory efforts, a general framework of trying to eliminate two major regulations for any new one that was put in place, were kind of the foundation of the beginning of a spark of a new economic renaissance in this country, to the point where, metric-wise, we have more Americans working than at any time in the history of the country, unemployment rates that were the lowest in 50 years, and in key demographic areas, African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians, all-time low unemployment rates. And on top of that, really the first president in modern times to take on major trade challenges with China and with our allies in EU and Japan as well, where we've had essentially very unfair tariff practices, currency manipulations, subsidies, dumping practices, all of which we just had allowed to linger and behind trade deficits, and obviously the massive erosion of the manufacturing base of this country, which the president really had begun to restore with the creation of a significant number of jobs in that era. These were the jobs, of course, that Barack Obama famously said would need a magic wand to be returned to the United States. And yet this president, with some pretty sound policies, was able to accomplish it in 3 years. He's clearly the most pro-life president in our lifetimes. There was a lot of doubt raised by some of his Republican competitors in 2016 that he would violate those pledges and promises, and yet he's the first president to appear live in the pro-life march. Even Reagan used to always find some basis to do it by video. He got, on the Mexico City policy, out of using foreign aid to subsidize abortions abroad. Really has been the first president to take a fresh look at how our foreign aid is utilized at all. Strengthened our Pentagon and our military capabilities with $1 trillion of much needed investments. Launched the Space Force, which is really the next frontier of challenges from a national security standpoint to the United States. And I think it, got us out of a lot of these international quagmires of agreements that we've been in.
WHO, NAFTA, all the Paris Climate Agreement, all this stuff.
Yeah.
This is he just inherited a pile of crap. A lot of people, they only hear what the left wing says because they control most of the media. But Donald Trump was actually left with the cupboard bare on PPE, personal protective equipment. Joe Biden and Barack Obama never restocked after SARS and stuff. They left them like an empty warehouse there. And you had these guys like Cuomo out there saying he's going to need 40,000 respirators, he's going to need more hospital beds. And Donald Trump does things with the precision and speed of a businessman. He's a problem solver. He just gets things done. And I personally thought, Mike, out of all the things you outlined, deregulation is huge. But the tax cut, where he gave these large corporations that took all their money offshore, he gave them a favorable rate of 21% here, where all that money started getting repatriated back to our country. And with less regulation and repatriation and the lower tax rate, to me, that was the witch's brew of greatness that really boosted the economy, because a lot of money came back to America that was hiding offshore when Joe Biden and Barack Obama were running things.
Yeah, I mean, it should be common sense, but it's not always, at least in politics, that capital and money is going to flow to countries that are hospitable to the treatment of it. And when you're, charging tax rates, federal, state, and otherwise that become punitive, it shouldn't be any surprise that literally trillions of dollars moved outside of this country under Obama and his predecessors. And this president, to his great credit, created a set of policies that incentivized them to return back to the United States. There's a policy that almost no one outside of Washington, D.C. has ever heard of, called managed decline. And the theory of it is one that has guided American foreign policy and domestic policy for a long time. The theory is basically rooted in the fact that the United States' days as a leader in manufacturing and even as a global economic leader were coming to an end, and that it was in the U.S. best interest to kind of offload these responsibilities in a sensible, calculated, smooth way. It kind of acknowledged the inevitability of China's ascent. And this president, of course, has completely, to his credit, rejected that thesis and begun not just to defend and support policies that are, that are growing our economy, and we're growing our economy, but also has challenged the threat that's sort of been there, the elephant in the room for decades in communist China, which has been engaged in a multi-decade plan of displanting the U.S. in almost every leadership respect.
So it's almost like when you talk about managed decline, just to put it in layman's terms for my audience and even myself, it's almost like, when you have somebody that's real sick at the end and you just want to manage their final end of days, you put them in a home, you get them help, you watch them, right? You manage their end of days. It's almost like Barack Obama and his cronies, along with Joe Biden, they wanted to go into managed decline mode when there were all these remedies around. It's like putting somebody in hospice instead of giving them a pill that could save their life for another 50 years. And that's the path that these people were putting us on, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very establishment way of thinking that I think just about every American, if they were brought to understand it, would reject. And yet for decades, in the rooms where our trade agreements and our regulations and our tax policies and our foreign policy was developed, really it was inherently based on sort of this assumption that China's ascent was both inevitable and also constructive, which of course, has been the biggest lie, I think, perpetuated in the area of foreign and trade policy, because the theory was always that as the Chinese economy developed, as it was integrated into the world and became more of an economic powerhouse, it would actually become more liberalized, more friendly to the West, less abusive of human rights, and just the opposites occurred. I mean, as this regime has used, intellectual property theft and all sorts of illegal and deceptive techniques to grow its economy, it's become the leading threat, really, at this point to the free world. And its economic ascent is no longer and can no longer be viewed as anything constructive to the United States of America or to our allies.
No doubt. And, there's just so many things this president has done. But to me, of all other things, he has categorically rejected the notion that we need to pander to China. And many people were conditioning us here in America, that we got to buy more goods because they're our biggest trading partner. We really need them. They're not even our biggest trading partner. Canada and Mexico are our top two trading partners. And I think Donald Trump, his legacy will be written on how he got us out of this relationship with China where we were bowing down to them and just accepting their ascent and our decline. And I think he's got 4 more years in the bag. And we got to leave it there, Mike. Thank you so much. You're the best. Have a great weekend. Have a cocktail. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks. That's Michael Johns, one of the co-founders of the Tea Party movement, with us every Friday. Take a quick break. Come on back right after this with some news of the day with me and Nico.
Welcome back, folks.
I've been taking my makeup off every day with the coronavirus wipes.
How's it working?
I'm still corona free.
Didn't even wipe your fake tan off.
Well, that's because that's not a fake tan. That's a real tan.
This November, and Democrats don't want to see it, at least establishment ones. It seems like they're trying to sort of
against weed, but for guns, right? There's all these different, and to me, the palette is the middle. There's different shades of purple, and that's who's going to decide this election. It's Bernie.
Wine's kicking in.
There you go.
It's just gonna work out after this.
30 seconds.
Right.
Your cue is you look for my 2 minutes. When I say 2 minutes left in the segment, you're filming the next guy up.
You know what I'm saying? That I skew out.
3, 2, 1, bump. Quiet on set.
On Facebook, on YouTube. I think maybe we should, I know, I'm saying, I think we should say screw it to Facebook. Maybe we'll post some crap on Facebook later on, but you know what, they're a bunch of JOs over there.
They are. Zuckerberg is continuing to censor more content every day.
They don't want to let us in. You know what I mean? And it's bullshit. All right. I was trying to post this into the stream. Let's take a look who's out there. James Blonde is out there. Gary Appa just joined us. People saying it was hard finding us. I don't know why it's hard, but we got to look into that. Johnny McNamee's on there. Mary Ann's on as usual. Reed is there. Victor Rukavina is there. Amal's on always. Mary Ann Semino. All our friends are out there and rolling strong. Yeah, if anybody, if you got any people that you're trying to share the show with and let them know what's happening, share the link on your Facebook page so people can try to find us. But I will tell you this, James Blonde, he's written to us, Liquid Lunch YouTube doesn't want people to know the truth. That's why your views are low right now. It's not your amazing content. Thank you. He said it will all come around for you. I'm pushing your channel out hard. My uncle loves it. So James Blonde's uncle, hello, we love you too. Thank you. And he said everyone I showed loves it so far. Just keep doing what you're doing, Johnny boy. It's a team, and he says it'll pay off for you, and James is helping us get the word out. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. And you know what? There is some really big news. I got a call today at 2:30 with a brand new, spanking new streaming network that wants me to not only host a daily show, which will be on at 9 o'clock in the morning. It'll be all focused on the markets, called Coffee with Tobacco. Okay, so I'll have my morning coffee with you guys and talk about what I'm trading for that day and stuff. But lots of great things are happening. Alrighty, welcome back. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV, and you know, I like to say it's the news with the booze, and as I mentioned a little earlier in the show this morning, I did another hit on Newsmax on American Agenda, and you know, American Agenda is one of Newsmax's newest, fastest growing shows. Awesome show, breaking down the news of the day, and if you're sick of all the turd on the left, and you're getting a little tired of too much rightness on the Fox there, check out Newsmax in the morning because they got a cool little show there. And by the way, Liquid Lunch is really taking hold, and you know it's taking hold when a national TV host, after talking about some really serious topics, says to you, hey, I watch your show all the time, I love it. I know it's early in the morning, but you got any alcohol around? And there's me on Newsmax with a bottle of Macallan that I polished off yesterday. But I did get into it pretty hard on Newsmax this morning with the ridiculousness of Letitia James, New York State Attorney General, grandstanding with political persecution. Now she's going after the NRA. So riddle me this, Batman. We're trying to defund the police, right? So our cities are going to be a little less safe. There's no police, okay? At the same time, these left-wing lunatics, these progressive whack jobs want to defund the police. They want to take the most prominent units, the SWAT teams, the anti-crime units, the undercover. They want them all gone. These are the people who take down the hard criminals. They want them gone. And then at the same time, Joe Biden is in bed now with Bernie Sanders, and he's going to make Beto O'Rourke part of his team and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. If you can't see what's going on, you need your head examined, or you got to go down to Cohen's Optical and get a new pair of goggles for yourself, because this thing could go way off the rails if we let this guy Joe Biden in. And in the middle of riots, looting, pandemics, all that other stuff, the Attorney General of New York wants to eliminate and completely demolish the National Rifle Association. Take a look at this.
James going after the NRA. And by the way, that's not the only city. D.C. also going after the NRA to dismantle the NRA. That is the goal. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, first of all, right here in New York, we have a case of attorneys gone wild. We got New York City DA going after President Trump for alleged crimes from 10 years ago. Now we have a grandstanding attorney general in New York and in D.C. If you ask me, what they're doing is they're firing up Donald Trump's base at a time when we're talking about defund the police. So we're going to get rid of the cops. At the same time, we want to go after the National Rifle Association when gun ownership applications are up huge. It's the only organization advocating for gun ownership. To me, this is like systemic criminal persecution, not prosecution, persecution. They're going after political enemies, and they're wasting millions and millions of taxpayer dollars to settle scores. It's absolutely outrageous.
So the goal to dismantle them, do you feel that these attorney generals will be able to accomplish that goal? Do you think the NRA moves out of New York and goes to Texas? What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I don't think anything's going to come of it. This is going to last way longer than the election. And I don't think the only thing she has going for this is a civil case So no one's going to jail on this thing. So we're spending, millions and millions of dollars to try to disband an organization. Like you said, they can just pick up and start the organization, headquarter it, run it from somewhere else. It makes no difference. This is all grandstanding. It's actually, if you ask me, a backfire, because gun owners are going to come out and force now for Donald Trump, just like they did in 2016, but this will incite them even more.
Right.
It's literally attorneys gone wild out there, especially here in New York State, when you got the top law enforcement officer in the state of New York is trying to disband the largest organization representing and advocating for our Second Amendment rights. She's trying to disband it. So you got all this crap going on, man, and you really got to think. People say, oh, Trump's going to win, there's the silent voter and all this other stuff. No, he's going to win. But we can't take nothing for granted. You got to remind your aunts and your uncles and your cousins and your 18-year-old kids, get out and vote for Donald Trump. And the truth of the matter is, we are literally at this point in our life at a crucible moment. Okay, there's literally a crossroads here. And it's becoming now, if you ask me, a literal battle between good and evil. Okay, and I was out last night till, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning with some of my friends, and we were talking about all different topics. We were speaking different languages by 2 a.m. But after I have liquid lunch and then a liquid dinner and then go out and eat some food, and was out with my buddy Sean and my buddy Ray, and we were talking about all kinds of different things. And, at some point I get the little good and evil. I get the little angel on this shoulder saying, go home, go home. And then I get the little devil on this shoulder. Johnny, we got to go out and have a few more drinks. The good and evil we're looking at right now is an existential threat to what we know as our country, America, okay? So every so often, I look at the angel and say, come on, take a walk. We got to get a little dirty here. You know what I mean? But what we got to do is the little evil on this side, we got to just smash them and crush them. And we got to crush Biden, and we got to crush Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We have to crush Ilhan Omar. We have to crush Rashida Tlaib. We have to crush Nancy Pelosi. These people have to be crushed to a point where they're no longer relevant. Okay? And there's little bits and pieces where, you hear the left wing saying, oh, we're going to take back the Senate and we're going to take back the House. And there's murmurs coming out of Washington that a big hunk of the moderates on the Democratic side of the House, who's in control right now, they're not loving where Nancy Pelosi's letting these liberal loons take our country. So there's some, a little murmur going that if they lose some seats in the House, even if they don't take over, Nancy Pelosi may not be the speaker. And, listen, we got a spot for her over here because she's a hell of a drinker. I'll tell you that. She ties one on. Sometimes you could see her dentures floating around in her mouth because the alcohol kills the glue in the denture grip. Sometimes it loosens it up and the teeth like flying out, But we may give her a seat here and she can just drink with us every day. She'll be a riot if you ask me. All right, we got a few seconds left here. In the final few seconds, I want to thank everybody who's tuned in on YouTube. And we are having quite the good time using YouTube these days. I was a little ticked off at Nico the other day because Facebook zapped us, and I thought, my team should have a little more technical acumen in getting us back on. But sometimes, there's an old saying, never let a good crisis go to waste. And now we have discovered YouTube, and I think I like it a little more. Not as much as I like you, so stay right there. We're going to take a quick break right here. We're going to come back with my buddy, Dr. John Huber, and we're going to talk about the pandemic, dealing with the coronavirus fears. He's a psychologist and a big proponent of the use of ketamine to keep people's brains straight. Oh, I could use some ketamine right now. Take a quick break. Back with Dr. Huber right after this. for.
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
He's an advocate for medically prescribed ketamine, Nico, not user.
How come I can't change my background here? This is crazy.
Your background? Everything looks good.
Well, yeah, but it's the hotel room. I was hoping. Okay.
Believe me, John, I've seen worse. It looks good. We got good lighting.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, I'm sitting in front of the window with the sunlight coming in. I figured that was probably the best way to do it. So
Definitely, it looks good. We're okay.
excellent. And my audio's good.
Audio's perfect.
Excellent. I was trying to find him on Facebook this morning. I don't know what the deal is. I got some people Liquid Lunch out of Texas and crap.
So we have a Liquid Lunch TV Facebook page, and we were broadcasting on there, but they've been continuously censoring us, and now, weirdly, we're not able to connect from our broadcast Sling to Facebook posts. So.
So man, I've been telling
We're on
everybody to go to YouTube Live.
Yeah, just tell him, Nico, just tell him to take to. No, I'm saying tell Dr. Huber if he can just put a post on Facebook right now that he's going to be live in 2 minutes on YouTube. Go to Liquid Lunch TV and it's there live. He can do that. Facebook is fucking with us, Johnny.
Yeah, they've been doing that to me too.
Yeah,
They
you know,
blocked it.
we did a few segments on hydroxychloroquine and stuff, and they jack us, you know.
I posted some peer-reviewed articles on hydroxychloroquine, and they pulled them. And I go, what? They're peer-reviewed, dude. They're not lies. So, Jesus.
I don't understand. Maybe we talk about it in the segment towards the end, but I don't understand how they could say this is dangerous or misleading information when a certified practicing doctor is saying this information. If they were breaking the law, or if they were saying something illegal, they'd lose their doctor license. Like,
right. Well, people would go through their licensing board, and they would get, it would have to go up for the licensing board's review to see that.
Well, I'm saying, if some crazy witch doctor came out and said, "Hey, drink arsenic and it'll help you fight the COVID." They'd probably lose their license in 10 seconds, and they should be banned. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But these people are saying that they've witnessed personally and given out hydroxychloroquine, and it's had some positive effects. How could that be harmful to the public to hear that? Like, people can't go themselves and get hydroxychloroquine and eat too much.
Right, and that it's insane. It really is, because I didn't know that YouTube practiced medicine. I had a license to do that in the first place.
Well, right now, I have to be a little nicer to YouTube because I do like, we're on Biz TV. I was on Newsmax this morning. But on the commercials, we're live. You watch the show. A lot of people like the fun behind the scenes and jerking around. People like that, so I don't mind doing it. I'm an open book.
Cool. You always have been. I mean, you're a straight shooter. You don't cut any corners.
Oh, well, I've cut some corners in life. I can admit that.
Well, not when I've been around. Did you have that?
All right, guys, we're back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bump.
For more Liquid Lunch, head over to YouTube, do a search for Liquid Lunch TV, and hit that subscribe button.
All right, welcome back. We're just buzzing through hour 2. We're having a whopper of a Freaky Friday show. Barry Goldsmith was here a little earlier to lighten the mood and crack you up a little bit. Zen Sam's was with us. Michael Johns, co-founder of the Tea Party movement, just left us a few minutes ago, and we kicked it off with Chief Economic Advisor to President Donald Trump's campaign, Dr. Stephen Moore, to break down all the stimulus stuff. But to get into a little Corona, one of my good friends, a great friend of the show, even when he's not on with us, he's watching, he's supporting us. He's actually in town, and Dr. John Hubert joins us right now. He's a psychologist and the chairman of Mainstream Mental Health. And I keep you close because there's nothing I need more than some help with my mental health. So thank you for always being there for me.
Absolutely. You know, I thought this close, though, at least I'd have some liquid lunch with me, but that it never arrived this morning.
All right. Well, I'm drinking Honey Jack today. I'm having a good day.
You drink it for me then, too.
Yeah, hey, let's do that. So, Johnny, Dr. J has an amazing practice. He uses a lot of different methods to help people cope with all kinds of different things, some medical, some psychological. But how can people, you know, you're just getting bombarded every day by the left-wing media telling you that, you know, we're going to have 300,000 deaths, and if you're going to die from hydroxychloroquine and all this other stuff, that I think the mental health effects are worse than the COVID effects. How can people cope with this stuff other than shut the TV, but it still weighs on them?
Well, you know, it's pretty disturbing. I think we're to the point where the cure is worse than the disease at this point. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but I do know that suicide hotlines their calls are up over 600%. We know that alcohol sales are up over 400%. That those two combinations are not typically a good thing for our nation. The suicide rates are going up. And then all the depression, the post-traumatic stress, everything associated with this, the anxiety, people now are stressing over, you know, kids going to school. So one of the best things they can do is to take a break. And if you have to have your COVID checkup, you know, check in, give yourself 30 minutes. And that's all the news time you should take for this, honestly, because what happens is your body goes into a fight or flight mechanism, and it exacerbates all the other psychological issues that are coming on, because, you know, when you watch it 24/7, your body never gets a chance to recuperate, back down, and kind of pull itself back together and deal with the stress. So your corticosteroids are up. And on top of that, because we're social or anti-social distancing, people aren't getting the neurotransmitter connections that we normally get with people, the oxytocin, the norepinephrine, the serotonin, just from having that face-to-face contact with each other.
So what I'm hearing from that is when you say the cure is worse than the virus, meaning the cure, keeping everybody locked in, keeping businesses closed, people are not getting their jobs back because their businesses have no money. The cure, meaning keeping this lockdown going, is a lot worse than the actual disease. And look, 150,000 people dead is a lot. It's not great to hear.
Absolutely.
But at the end of all days, you know, it's like 0.5% of America, you know, less than 0.5% of all of America. 80% of the people that have perished from this terrible disease were over 70 years old. They had multiple underlying conditions. And the young people, Doc, I'll just give you one anecdotal example. I asked my son, I said, you know, I'm on TV every day raging that kids got to go back to school and, you know, we need to get back to life. They need their social interactions and stuff. I said, you know, I'm doing it every day, but tell me, son, do you want to go back to school or do you like doing school at home, you know? And my son said, Dad, go on there and tell them that I'm getting dumber being schooled at home. And he wasn't, you know, saying he's dumb. He's just saying that, you know, they give you the work in the morning, you have all day to complete it. You can Google things, you know, and you're distracted. And he was just saying, you know, for a kid, and kids these days, you know, they barely even talk with words. For a kid to say, I'm getting dumber, there's something weighing on their brain already that they don't feel like they're getting the development that they really want. For a kid to say that.
They're not. I mean, the research shows that there's a certain segment of our society that online learning is amazing for. But for the average person, they need that human contact. They need that instruction. They need to be able to raise their hand and go, you know, I'm not quite getting this. and have the teacher come over there and give them alternative ways to process. And that's part of human condition. It's not part of something you're going to get online. And he is right. And it's going to hurt us. We're going to be looking at this 15 years down the road when people are going out into the job market. You also have to look at, when I said the cure is worse than the disease, the CDC itself says for every 1% of unemployment, we lose 40 to 60,000 people a year because of lowered situation. They don't have access to good food, to good shelter, to proper medical care, daily maintenance medicine like blood pressure medications and things like that. We're at up over 16%. So that's pushing what? We're getting close to 600,000 deaths because of the cure, just looking at their own data. And like you said, we're pushing 150, 200,000 people on this. Tuberculosis last year had 1.5 million. So, we didn't panic over tuberculosis. And now that's a worldwide number, but still, it's here in this country. I see it in my hospitals all the time. And it's ridiculous. We need to start taking care of our healthy citizens so that they can develop a healthy environment. And part of that is the psychological side of this. We have to be respectful, but not panic.
No doubt about it. Dr. J, as I mentioned, is the chairman of Mainstream Mental Health. And there's no better example of a deteriorating state of mental health than presidential candidate Joe Biden. And this guy, he has more foot and mouth than foot and mouth disease. But it sure looks to me, John, like he is in a really rapidly decaying mental state.
Well, I'm concerned. Now, I've never assessed him. I don't have any psychological data, and that's usually what I go by. When somebody asks me how somebody's doing, it's like, well, let's get them in here and let me test them and give them a psychological battery and stuff. But when we look at things, we know it's going on. Stress causes cognitive decline. And if he's being stressed out during this point, he hadn't even had a debate yet. My concern is what's going to happen when he hits the world stage and all of a sudden he is the leader. We can say all we want about, Donald Trump not being couth, but the fact is he appears to have his faculties with him and he gives a good response, whether we like how he says that or not. And I'm concerned when we have simple questions asked by people who like Joe Biden and he stumbles and can't give a good answer. That scares me as a human being, forget being a mental health practitioner.
So yesterday, 2 days ago, he made some crazy comment that, there's a tremendous amount of diversity in the Latino community. And he compared it to how there isn't diversity in the African American community. And I'm just thinking like, you know me, I let my mouth fly sometimes. Right. I say it like it is. But I think any sane, rational person who is trying to win over African American votes would have the cognitive strength to know I shouldn't say this. And to say that Latinos have a diverse community and African Americans don't, to me, it's just another feather in the cap of, mental acuity being tremendously diminished.
Well, at the very, very least, it's racial insensitivity and maybe outright racism in that whole situation. Because as I know, everybody I know is diversified. Everybody's different. I don't know, even coming from the same family, you look at all these people and every one of them is different. So I don't know where he's getting his information from. It certainly wasn't from any source that I use.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing because you know what? I grew up, my family grew up in sports. My dad was, president of a local Little League, president of a local Pee Wee football league. He's a high school football coach. And I remember, he always used to say, listen, don't get caught up in that. Remember this. This is what my father would say. When you're on the field and they call a timeout and they throw the bottles of water onto the field to get a sip, you got white guys, you got black guys, you got Chinese guys, you got Puerto Rican guys. Everybody drinks from the same bottle and nothing happens. We're all alive and we're all one team. And to say there's not diversity in one community and there isn't another one, to me, it's absolutely, I think it's more than racial insensitivity, but I'll give you that. Dr. J, thanks for joining us. When are you leaving town?
A week from today, actually, or no, a week from yesterday. Next Thursday.
All right. I saw your text. I may actually be heading out to the Hamptons with this Donald Trump fundraiser tomorrow, which I luckily got an invite to. So I'm not going to be around.
I got that too, but I didn't make a donation, so I didn't.
Yeah, I might have got a friend pass. You know what I mean? I'm going to probably be out there tomorrow, but hopefully next week we get together.
I can head that way.
Hopefully we knock down a few cocktails this week when we'll get together.
Oh, that would be awesome.
All right, that's Dr. John Huber. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and wrap up this Freaky Friday edition right after this.
Quite a few words have slipped on a hot mic on air.
What did I say that were hot?
No, not you, Dr.
No,
Huber.
they're saying
my
that.
job.
Okay. You know,
okay.
Well, Nico, tell her that we're shorthanded. Tell her that we're shorthanded, and maybe our times were off. And I'll email Scott that it was my bad.
Yeah, if I knew you were going to go out there yesterday, I probably would have.
Yeah, I didn't even know till somebody told me yesterday. Hey, you coming as my guest? So.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I got an email and how come you're not doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, they know I'm in town. I guess I don't know.
All right.
All right. Well, you be good, man.
All right, brother. Let's keep in touch. Hopefully, yeah, I'll see you before you leave for sure. 100%.
Excellent.
All right, bro.
Excellent.
All right.
Bye.
Am I on that email?
No. Me, Ryan, and Debbie.
Not in the show. She's saying that, like, coming back or going out, like our times were off.
Yeah, I think maybe right after a second you might have said something.
Shit.
It's possible because I'm using the same clock app Jess uses, but I'm on my cell phone browser, so I noticed it a little bit, but I might have missed a couple seconds. One more segment. Anything to correct you on. That's leaving me alone today, but we do have some breaking
What breaking news do we have? New York City schools to open? When? What are the rules? Say it into the mic, will you?
I said by our infection rates, all school districts can open everywhere in the state. Every region is below the threshold that we established, which is just great news. School districts in New York have to submit reopening plans to the Department of Health and the State Education Department, and these plans can be disapproved if they're not responsible, Cuomo explained.
They can be disapproved if they're not responsible. So 5 days a week, everybody goes back to school. Is that what you're telling me?
That's not what I read, but that's. It seems like everyone could go back to school.
Alrighty. Baby. All right. You know what? Well, our numbers are lower than usual on YouTube, but I am seeing some new folks on there also, which is good news. I would say today we've been averaging 18 to 20 I like when we get at the same time up to 30. But I tried to send this into the live stream for everybody watching on YouTube. I got a notification from YouTube yesterday on our analytics that our views are up in the last 7 days 230%. 230%. So that's a double-double. That's a double-double. Double-double. Double-double.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yeah. We did it again. We did it. We've done it again. It's another great week of Liquid Lunch. I'm really finding a zone here in the Corona Bunker Studios. And we proved another thing today, that we can do an entire show with just Nico and I. Okay? Just Nico and I. And, you know, I had to give him a little coaching today, a little fatherly advice. We had to hug it out for a minute because he was getting a little frazzled and all panicked out and everything, but he regrouped like a true warrior, and he took us through 2 hours. Just one man, Nico Romano. And he doesn't even have a camera on him, which he should, because, you know, he deserves a little credit for today for doing the whole show by himself. And yeah, I mean, he deserves a little credit. I said a little credit. I mean, you don't typically throw a parade.
Forget a parade. Just the fact that you acknowledged I did a good job in something on air is a miracle to me. So, I mean, we are having a good day. I got to say, I miss Jess, but, you know, we got it done.
What else is going on? What would you do that for? I don't understand you. What else is going on? We got people that want to know what's happening in the world. You're supposed to be giving us breaking news. See, as soon as I compliment you, then you start going off the rails again. What's happening?
What did you leave your drink back there?
Yeah, I can't finish the show without my drink. That's horrible.
No, that's true. That's true.
We wouldn't be Liquid Lunch then.
We got to finish strong.
We would just be lunch.
Going on. This was anticipated, and Cuomo says all New York schools can finally reopen. He said by our infection rates, all school districts can open everywhere in the state. Every region is below the threshold that we established, which is just great news. Now, school districts in New York have to submit reopening plans to the Department of Health and the State Education Department, and these plans can be disapproved if they're not responsible. To reopen in person, the region a school is in must have an average COVID positivity rate of less than 5%.
This is Frank's Teddy Roosevelt bobblehead. Thank you, Andrew Cuomo. I'll ring the bell one more time. Finally, he's done something that we need. We need these kids to get back to school, if you ask me. Frankie loves this guy, okay? And he has one of these in his office. This particular Teddy has been broken to pieces numerous times. When we were in the old studio, after the show was the after party, and things used to get crazy. Things would get knocked down, things would get broken all the time. And Teddy, this Teddy right here is like Humpty Dumpty. We've glued him, gorilla glued him, crazy glued him. He's been put back together like 10 times. So I put him on display. I did get this recently. I don't know if you can see. Oh, there it is. There are a lot of haters out there. And there's one particular person around my universe who has told me categorically that she put a spell on me. So to ward off evil spirits, I've brought in this. This is supposed to scare off the evil spirits. And if you're watching, I see you.
Do we know what the spell was that she put on you?
I think she put a spell on me that would relate somehow to me always being like not level and not balanced. And I think, you know, somewhere in there.
No way.
Yeah, she doesn't want me to be
I
level.
can't believe that. That's news to me.
She doesn't want me to be level and balanced. She always wants me to feel off guard, feel, some darkness around me. And that's why I've resorted to bringing in my good friend, Elena Servideo Schwinn, the New Jersey medium. And you know what? A lot of folks, we did a great segment with Elena the other day. A lot of folks messaged me and called me and sent me stuff that said she was awesome. That segment was awesome. So I'm thinking about maybe taking an hour or two on Tuesdays and doing extraterrestrial Tuesdays where we'll, instead of going down the rabbit hole all the time on the pedophiles and the Epstein Island, I got time for that. We'll do all that stuff, and that has to be talked about. But, Nick Pope was on last week talking about finally the U.S. government admitting that there are actually UFOs. We had Elena Servideo Schwinn. We've had a couple of other people. I might have a medium, a UFO expert, maybe like a fortune teller, which is a little different. Mediums talk to the dead. Fortune tellers try to foresee the future. I'm skeptical of all this crap, but I also think there's some, validity to Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster. And I think that spell, speaking of the Loch Ness Monster, I think the spell that was put on me may relate to me being able to perform romantically also. I think that system she's trying to affect, but that's not working. Any other news of the day, Nico? Rita said we had a great show today. And Amal asked if the skeleton works as a mask. I don't think that works as a medical mask. But what else do we have? The great Nico Romano. Oh my God, he's so good. He's not so good. He's so good. He's great.
You got to give me a minute here. You got to remember, I'm a one-man show. I'm working everything alone.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right. Well, look. I hope you guys have been following along. I'm trying to bring you as much as I can to keep you up to speed, keep you talking, keep you walking. Overstock.com, $103 right here. Down a little bit from the highs of the day, but still raging strong. These short sellers, they want to close it lower than 100 because it's options expiration today. So there's probably going to be a huge run into the close. And if we could break the day's highs before the end of the day, you could come in Monday and the stock could be $1.25. So keep your eye on that. As I mentioned many times, I'm short Gap, I'm short Macy's, I'm short Simon Property Group, I'm short Brookfield Asset Management and AMC Theaters. So there are a number of stocks I've been short since February. I've not moved on them. I've been long Overstock for 3 years. Got even longer just in the last week. And the stock picks are going well. The news is going well. The audience is growing. We're picking up new people every day. We're up 200% on just YouTube in the last week. So whatever we're doing is taking traction. And if you could, leave us a comment, give us a like, a thumbs up, a thumbs down, whatever you like. But every engagement helps us break those algorithms. Don't break anything this weekend except break open a cold one and whip it down. Have a great weekend, and I will be right here Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel, more Liquid Lunch. Have a great weekend.